Good evening. I'm Bill Charters, and my company is Sunrise Solar. We focus in the microfit market, and we've done installations across much of Southern Ontario, including quite a few for the social housing sector this past year. Just a couple of things that I'm going to do to bring it all home. There's more than one way to solve our problems. One of the biggest challenges we've got, there's been a lot of successes in the industries, panel pricing been coming down. A lot of us that are in the installation businesses have started to figure out how to improve our cost structures and get down the cost of installations. So that's all trending in the right direction. At the same time, LDC costs and permitting costs have been going up steadily over the last 2 years. I venture to say I don't think there's anyone out there who's seen them going down. So the real conclusion there is that unless we figure out a way to get the LDCs and the municipalities and so on to reduce their cost structure too, we're not going to get to where we need to, which is grid parity and ultimately makes the market more productive. This is a typical cost structure for a microfit project or a larger project. But really at the top, of course, we've got our pre-sales activity, and I think Alex has already spoken about the obstacles we all face at trying to get a project approved. Once it gets there, again, we've been doing a good job in the industry of dealing with those installation costs and so on. And the two I want to speak to specifically are the blue areas, the permitting and the whole approval process, and then the grid connection, which is done in conjunction with the LDC. So in terms of permitting, there's a couple things. There's a lot of extra costs thrown at us, and again, I think over the past 2 years, much as Greg has seen, we've seen the costs increase as they come up with new ideas, and they're a bit afraid of this solar thing, so they're adding additional process on. So commitment to reviews, I think, in most roof-mounted projects is an unnecessary waste of additional funds on top of the permitting costs. Standardizing the process across jurisdictions. Again, when you operate right across the province, you get to see quite a wide range, and you see some that seem to have best practices, and others that can be 2 or 3 times as costly to do business with. There's people that have tried to improve the process. Here in Toronto, there's the fast-tracking process. Implementation has been a little bit varied, but at least there's attempts to try and streamline the whole process of getting things approved. And just the final note down here is one that we need everybody in our canoe rowing in the same direction with us in the industry. And I think one of the ways to get municipalities on side would be to ask them to reduce their cost burden, but also incent them to row along with us by encouraging power to be produced locally within the municipality. And that should, over the long run, reduce the cost structure of the grid right across the province. On the LDC front, I don't know how many people have seen the movie Bambi versus Godzilla? Yeah, because that's kind of what it's like to deal with the LDCs at times. They're a monopoly wherever it is that we operate, and the cost difference between hooking up in some jurisdictions with some providers and other ones can be, in our experience, 5 times as much. We regularly get costs up in the $7,000 to $8,000 to hook up a microfit from some of the utilities, and I know some of the people on the panel up out here have shared with me that they regularly are spending more than $10,000 on total grid connection costs. And up to $17,000, I think, is the highest I heard. So at $17,000, that's 20% of the total project cost. In order to improve accountability, and really to pick up on something Kathleen said earlier, the LDCs are ill prepared to deal with the smart grid, to deal with public charge stations for electric vehicles and so on. And I think there's an opportunity here to help get them into the mode by asking them to take more accountability, to allow the grid connections in their local area, and incentivize them by taking the cost structure right out of the microfit, reduce the cost, reduce the payout, reduce the cost to us, and require that they provide a grid connection point for our microfit projects. That would reduce a lot of the risk out of our projects as well, and I think would start to get them ready for that new marketplace. That's all I have to say. Jacob, do you want to comment?
That's our panel. It's a group of people who've been working hard at trying to tackle what are the core issues that we could focus on in terms of proposing to the government. But now it's your turn. We have at least 45 minutes to have a bit of discussion, to hear from you, reaction to some of these things. If you want to point a question to somebody or a comment, you just want to get up and make a comment, there's a mic back there. If you could please come up to the mic and just, get in line if there's a line, or just walk up there.